You're standing at an airport currency exchange. One crisp Benjamin Franklin, $100, a single piece of paper. Walk one direction, you get 100 euros. Turn left, 14,000 Japanese yen. Turn right, 1.8 million Vietnamese dong. Same bill, same Benjamin Franklin staring back at you. But somehow it's worth completely different amounts depending on which plane you're catching. Welcome to the most manipulated system in global economics. Here's the truth. They don't tell you. The value of money is not real. It's not backed by gold anymore. Hasn't been for 50 years. It's not determined by some objective formula. It's a collective hallucination, maintained by central banks, governments, and raw economic power. And the gap between what you think determines currency value and what actually does. That's the difference between understanding global economics and being completely lost. Today, we're ripping apart the curtain, why a dollar isn't a pound, isn't a yen, isn't a ruble. The dark mechanisms that make currencies rise and fall. The geopolitical games that determine whether your money is worth something or nothing, and why some countries are desperately trying to destroy the value of their own currency while others fight to keep theirs strong. This isn't economic theory. This is the hidden architecture of global power. By the end, you'll understand why currency wars are the new battlegrounds where empires rise and fall. Without firing a single shot, let's go. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Currency used to mean something, actually means something. 1. You hold a dollar bill. That piece of paper represents a specific quantity of gold sitting in Fort Knox. You could, in theory, march up to the government and demand your gold. The dollar wasn't just a promise, it was a receipt. August 15th, 1971. Then everything changed. President Richard Nixon faces a crisis. America's printing too many dollars to fund the Vietnam War and social programs. Other countries are showing up demanding the gold America promised. The gold in Fort Knox is draining away. Nixon makes a decision that will reshape global economics forever. He closes the gold window. No more convertibility. The dollar is now backed by nothing. Well, not nothing exactly. Backed by belief. The dollar is backed by faith, by military power, by the fact that if you want to buy oil, you need dollars, but not by anything you can hold in your hand. Here's where it gets wild. Every other major currency was pegged to the dollar through the Bretton Woods system. When the dollar cut its anchor to gold, every other currency became free-floating too. Suddenly, the value of money became a pure market phenomenon. Supply, demand, confidence, and increasingly, central bank manipulation. Welcome to fiat. Fast forward to 2025. We're living in the era of fiat currency everywhere. Fiat means by decree. Your money is worth something because the government says it is. The euro? Backed by the collective economic output of 20 European nations. The yen? Backed by Japan's industrial might and savings culture. The pound sterling? Once the world's reserve currency. Now floating on the legacy of London's financial markets and whatever's left of British economic power. The collective delusion. But here's the kicker nobody wants to admit. This system only works because everyone agrees to pretend it works. It's a collective delusion, but a necessary one. The moment people stop believing a currency has value, the moment confidence breaks, you get chaos. Venezuela. A cup of coffee cost 2 bolivars in 2012. Same coffee. 2 million bolivars in 2019. Argentina. People literally don't use their own currency anymore. Keep their savings in dollars under their mattresses. Weimar, Germany, 1923. People used wheelbarrows full of marks to buy bread. The foundation is confidence, and confidence is fragile, based on whether people trust the government not to print infinity money, whether the economy is productive enough to justify the currency's existence, whether other countries will accept your currency in trade. Remove any one of these pillars. The whole thing collapses. We're not trading gold anymore. We're trading belief systems. That makes currency valuation less like math and more like psychology at a global scale. And psychology can break in an instant. Want to understand why currencies have different values? Don't look at abstract theories. Look at 5 brutal forces that push money up or down every single day. These aren't gentle market mechanisms. These are tectonic plates grinding against each other. Force 1. Interest rates. The money magnet. 1. The U.S. Federal Reserve starts raising interest rates. Global capital flows toward dollars. Why? You can now earn 5% on a U.S. Treasury bond instead of 2%. Investors worldwide sell euros, yen, pesos, buy dollars to chase that return. The numbers. Fed raises rates from near 0 to 5.5% in 18 months. Result? Dollar surges 20% against a basket of currencies. Euro crushed. Pound crushed. Yen collapses. Other countries' imports suddenly cost more. Their dollar-denominated debt becomes harder to pay. Interest rate differentials are the most powerful short-term force in currency markets. Force 2. Trade balances. Who's buying what? Countries that export more than they import create constant demand for their currency. Germany, China, Japan. When Germany sells cars to France, France needs euros to pay. When China sells electronics to America, America needs yuan, or dollars converted to yuan. This demand supports currency value. Conversely, countries with massive trade deficits should see their currency weaken. The U.S. runs about $800 billion per year in trade deficit. Should be devastating for the dollar. Except the U.S. breaks this rule because of Force 3. Force 3. Reserve currency status. The ultimate cheat code. The dollar represents about 59% of global foreign exchange reserves as of 2024. The euro, 20%. The yuan, barely 3%. Why does this matter brutally? Because central banks, corporations, and individuals around the world need to hold dollars for international transactions. Oil is priced in dollars. Most international debt is denominated in dollars. This creates artificial demand that props up the dollar regardless of U.S. trade deficits. It's the ultimate network effect. The dollar is valuable because it's valuable. The British pound had this status until World War II bankrupted Britain. Now the U.S. has it, and China desperately wants it. Force 4. Inflation, the silent killer. If your country prints money faster than it produces goods and services, you get inflation. And inflation destroys currency value. Always. Turkey's lira has lost 80% of its value since 2018. Why? Inflation hit 85% in 2022. Argentina's peso collapsed. Inflation reached 211% in 2023. Meanwhile, the Swiss franc stays strong. Switzerland maintains inflation around 2% and has a reputation for monetary discipline. The formula is simple. High inflation equals weak currency. Every single time. Force. 5. Political stability, the confidence game. February 2022. Russia invades Ukraine. The ruble crashes 40% in days. Brexit 2016. The pound drops 15% overnight. Political chaos creates currency chaos. Conversely, economic strength attracts capital. The U.S. dollar benefits massively from America's tech dominance, military power, and relative political stability. The euro suffers when Italy threatens to leave the Union. When Germany's industrial base weakens, currency value is a vote of confidence in a country's future. And the market is a brutal judge. Quick pause. If you're starting to see how your grocery bill is connected to Federal Reserve decisions and geopolitical chess matches, you're getting it. Here's my question for the comments. Would you rather live in a country with a strong currency that makes imports cheap but kills exports? Or a weak currency that makes exports competitive but destroys your purchasing power? There's no right answer. But the trade-off is real. Let me know what you'd choose. And if this deep dive into the invisible architecture of money is blowing your mind, smash that subscribe button. Because we're just getting started. Trust me, it gets darker. Let's talk about the dirtiest secret in global finance. Central banks actively manipulate currency values. They don't just respond to market forces, they create market forces, and they do it with tools that would make a casino cheat jealous. Weapon 1. Direct intervention. 1. Swiss franc gets too strong, threatening Switzerland's exports. Swiss National Bank literally prints francs and buys hundreds of billions of euros. They artificially weaken their own currency by flooding the market. Japan does this constantly. Between 2010 and 2024, Bank of Japan spent over $500 billion intervening to keep the yen weak and exports competitive. China is the master. People's Bank of China maintains a quote 1, controlling yuan value within a tight band. Too strong? Print more? Too weak? Buy yuan with their $3.2 trillion in reserves. It's manipulation, but everyone calls it monetary policy. Weapon 2. Quantitative easing. Fancy name for money printing. After 2008, every major central bank launched QE programs. Central banks create money from thin air, buy government bonds and assets. Fed printed $4.5 trillion between 2008 and 2014. ECB printed 2.6 trillion euros. Bank of Japan still printing. This floods markets with currency, weakening it. But here's the dark comedy. When everyone does it simultaneously, effects cancel out. It's a race to debase. Winner is whoever debases slowest. You can't all have weak currencies. Math doesn't work that way. Weapon 3. Jawboning, talking the currency up or down. Central bankers learned something powerful. Words move markets as much as actions. When Fed Chair Jerome Powell says, "We will keep rates higher for longer," the dollar rallies. When ECB President Christine Lagarde hints at rate cuts, the euro falls. This is called jawboning. And it's free. No actual policy change needed. Just rhetoric. The market believes the central bank will do what it says. Traders position accordingly. The currency moves. Psychology warfare conducted through carefully worded press conferences. The coordination problem. Here's where it gets geopolitically insane. Central banks sometimes coordinate interventions. 2011, after the Fukushima disaster, the G7 nations jointly intervened to weaken the surging yen. But more often, they're in competition. The US wants a weaker dollar to boost exports. Europe wants a weaker euro for the same reason. Japan has been trying to weaken the yen for 30 years. Everyone can't have a weak currency. Mathematically impossible. So we get currency wars, competitive devaluation. Everyone tries to race to the bottom, destroying the purchasing power of their citizens in the process. And here's the kicker. Nobody calls it manipulation. They call it quote 3. But when you deliberately destroy the value of your currency to gain a trade advantage, that's not policy. That's economic warfare. And we're all collateral damage. Stop thinking about currency as some abstract market chart. Think about Maria. Maria's story. 32 years old, teacher in Buenos Aires. January 2023. Earns 150,000 pesos monthly, about $800. January 2024, earns 300,000 pesos. Sounds like a raise? The peso lost 50% value. She's actually earning $600 in real terms. Rent doubled, groceries tripled, savings worthless. Can't afford her mother's medicine. Government says economy is stabilizing. This is currency collapse. Kenji's Dilemma 1. Software developer Tokyo. Earns 6 million yen annually. 2012, worth $75,000. 2023, worth $45,000. Same yen amount. Massive pay cut in global purchasing power. Hawaii vacation now costs double. Imported beef unaffordable. Savings for Silicon Valley job worth half. Same work. Half the value. The import-export divide. Currency fluctuations create brutal winners and losers. When your currency weakens, exporters win. A German car manufacturer loves a weak euro. Their cars become cheaper for American buyers. Mercedes sales surge. Importers suffer. That same weak euro makes the oil Germany imports more expensive. Gas prices spike. Debtors with foreign currency debt get destroyed. If you borrowed $100,000 when the exchange rate was 1-to-1, but now it's 2-to-1, you owe double in your local currency. Turkey and Argentina are full of people whose mortgage payments doubled overnight. The travel tax. Here's one most people miss. Currency fluctuations are an invisible tax or subsidy on travel. When the pound crashed after Brexit, British tourists found their Spanish vacations cost 15% more overnight. But Spanish tourists found London suddenly affordable. It's a zero-sum game. Strong currency means cheap foreign vacations. Weak currency means you're trapped at home or paying premium prices to travel abroad. The savings destruction. The darkest effect of all. Inflation combined with currency devaluation destroys generational wealth. Your grandmother in Italy saved 100,000 euros over her lifetime. If Italy still had the lira and experienced the same inflation trajectory as Turkey, her savings would buy a used car instead of a house. This is why millions of people in unstable currency zones convert savings to dollars or gold immediately. They've learned the hard way. Keep your wealth in your local currency, and the government will slowly or quickly steal it through devaluation. The math is brutal. It's happening right now to hundreds of millions of people. Currency fluctuations aren't financial abstractions. They're the difference between eating meat this week or not, between affording medicine or not, between having a future or watching your savings turn to dust. If you think currency valuation is just about economics, you're missing the entire point. Currency is power. It's the battlefield where empires fight without firing shots. And right now, we're in the middle of the most consequential currency war in history. The dollar weapon system. The U.S. has a weaponized currency. Dollar as world reserve plus SWIFT banking system equals America can cut countries off from global finance. Iran sanctions didn't bomb Tehran, banned Iranian banks from SWIFT. Iran couldn't trade internationally. Currency collapsed. Russia invades Ukraine. West froze $300 billion of Russian reserves held in dollars and euros. Putin's war chest vanished overnight. Currency warfare, no bombs, just keystrokes. China's obsession. China is obsessed with internationalizing the yuan. Not about economics, about freedom from American dominance. If China convinces countries to trade in yuan through Belt and Road loans, it escapes the dollar trap. By 2024, yuan swap agreements with 40-plus countries, building alternative financial architecture brick by brick. Goal: break dollar monopoly. The euro's identity. Crisis euro was supposed to compete with the dollar. 20 countries, 340 million people, $15 trillion economy, structurally flawed. One currency, no fiscal union. Germany wants tight money and low inflation. Italy wants loose money and stimulus. Germany usually wins, economic powerhouse. Result? Euro strong enough to hurt Southern European exports, not strong enough to challenge dollar dominance, stuck in no man's land. The emerging market squeeze. Developing countries caught in a vice, need dollars for oil, debt, trade. When Fed raises rates and dollar surges, their currencies collapse. Debt unpayable, imports unaffordable. They raise rates to defend currencies, killing growth. Debt trap. Sri Lanka, 2022. Pakistan, 2023. Dozen more countries threatened. The de-dollarization dream BRICS nations openly discussing alternative reserve currency. Summits in 2023 to 2024 specifically about this. Will it work? History says no. Currency transitions take decades, usually require dominant power collapse. But they're trying. Currency viewed as geopolitical control tool. Half the world wants out from American control. We've traveled from the death of the gold standard through central bank manipulation to geopolitical currency warfare. Now let's talk about where this is heading. Future A, the multipolar money world. In this scenario, de-dollarization succeeds, not overnight, not dramatically, but through slow erosion. The yuan becomes a serious alternative for Asian trade. Digital currencies and CBDCs reduce friction in non-dollar transactions. Regional currency blocks emerge. A yuan zone in Asia, a euro zone in Europe, a dollar zone in the Americas. Reserve currency status fragments from one dominant player to 3 or 4. The US loses its 5% of being able to print money that the world accepts. American living standards adjust downward as the import subsidy disappears. But the global system becomes more balanced. Countries have alternatives if they don't like US financial policy. It's messier, but maybe more fair. Future B, the dollar fortress. In this scenario, dollar dominance not only persists, but strengthens. Why? Because the alternatives are worse. The yuan is still not freely convertible, comes with Chinese government control. The euro remains structurally flawed. No other currency has the deep, liquid markets that the dollar offers. When crisis hits, war, pandemic, financial collapse, the world runs to dollar safety, again and again. The US continues to weaponize this advantage, using financial sanctions as its primary foreign policy tool. Other countries complain, but have no choice but to participate. The dollar remains king. American power remains unmatched. But the resentment builds. And one day, when the US makes a catastrophic policy mistake or loses its economic dynamism, the transition will be sudden and brutal. The universal truth. Here's what you need to understand, regardless of which future emerges. Currency value is never neutral. It's always political, always about power. When your currency is strong, you can buy the world's resources cheaply, but your workers lose jobs to foreign competition. When your currency is weak, your exports boom, but your citizens get poorer. There's no free lunch. Every currency policy creates winners and losers. The biggest lie in finance, that currency markets are, quote, 6, quote, or, quote, 7, quote. They're manipulated, controlled, and weaponized by the most powerful players. Your savings, your wages, your purchasing power, they're all variables in a game played by central bankers and geopolitical strategists. The question isn't whether you're affected. The question is whether you understand what's happening to you. If you found this descent into the hidden architecture of money valuable, hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're examining the coming global debt crisis. Which countries are one recession away from default? Drop a comment. Do you think the dollar will still be dominant in 20 years? Or are we heading for a multipolar currency world? I read every comment. I'm genuinely curious what you think. Welcome to the Currency Wars. Choose your side carefully, because whether you know it or not, you're already in the fight.